Coronavirus Frauds and Scams. My name is Mark Fetterhoff, and I'm with the AARP ElderWatch program. For those of you who are not familiar with the AARP ElderWatch program, it's a partnership between AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office. Our program has been around for over 18 years and really consists of a couple of parts. Really, our main goal is to ensure that older adults across Colorado are informed about the different types of frauds and scams that are happening out there, and also to be a resource for them if they are approached by a fraud or scam. And we do that partially by having a volunteer staffed call center. The volunteer staff call center is part of the Colorado Attorney General's consumer complaint line, and you can call at any time if you have a fraud or a scam, 1-800-222-4444, and press option 2 to be connected with a volunteer who will help answer your questions about frauds or scams. Just of note, though, during this time where the CDC recommends people are working from home, all of our volunteers are currently working from home and returning calls as soon as they're able to. So, in addition to that, we typically are doing outreach and education across Colorado in person about frauds and scams, but right now we're trying to do as much work as we can virtually to help educate folks, particularly about the specific types of scams that are coming out as a result of this coronavirus global pandemic. Today, we're going to talk about a host of different scams that we've been hearing about as part of the AARP ElderWatch helpline and as part of the Colorado Attorney General's helpline that takes different questions and reports about different types of frauds and scams. You can see a long list of them on the screen right now. And I'll just say that the scams are evolving. We're seeing lots of the same types of scams that we did in the past that might just have a twist on them related to this health issue that we're dealing with in our country. And so it is quite a this list changes every day, and we'll try to give you as much information as we can about the scams that we're seeing up to the date. Like all of our state agencies, right now the Colorado Attorney General's Office is mostly working from home, but they're still, again, taking complaints and doing as much outreach and education as possible, trying to make sure Coloradans are aware of the different types of frauds and scams that are out there, and getting ahead of the curve and protecting consumers. So, as most government offices or any offices are right now, it's not quite the same as usual because people aren't doing this type of work in person. But again, rest assured there are people out there virtually serving as consumers advocates and trying to make sure people are aware of what's out there trying to get them with regards to the different types of frauds and scams today. So why scammers might target the coronavirus global pandemic? Here's just a couple reasons on the screen. Like any other type of scam, and we see it during disasters or any other type of major issue, scammers follow the headlines, and this is no exception. And so, people have a heightened sense of fear and anxiety, and when scammers combine that with following the headlines, they might find some people who might be more susceptible to fall victim to a scam during this time than another time. In addition to that, we're having major shifts in our everyday lives. So people are home more often, businesses aren't open the same, we don't have the same types of resources as we had in the past, and people are, have a lot of time on their hand. So again, these things might make us more susceptible to frauds and scams, particularly older adults, because they are more vulnerable to this COVID virus. It does make it, again, heightened sense of anxiety and fear that might be coming with it, and that might and I will show you with regard to some of the scams that we're hearing about why that might come into factor. Additionally, people are having financial difficulties and job losses, so there might be opportunities for scammers to throw out employment scams or opportunities to get loans or other types of finances. Those are all things that could definitely contribute to why scammers might be targeting this time. One of the main things that we've seen that the scammers have come up with is different types of scams around the stimulus relief payment. Uh, since day one, when it was mentioned by the president that there would be some type of outgoing payment to taxpayers, there have been scams around this payment. And it is even, before there's any details at all. So that just shows you that the scammers were really following the headlines, and they were probably aware that people were really interested in what type of money and how they're going to get it and how they could get it quick. So we saw right away that scammers were offering to help folks receive their payment check or the direct deposit. And of course, we know that this is not true or not needed. They would also do things like call them or send them texts to request bank accounts, social security numbers, other payment information. Um, Additionally, we saw this coming all through different types of methods, whether it be email, phone calls, or text. In addition to that, all these people would claim to be particularly with a government agency, and we're continuing to see these types of scams every day because people still are dealing with financial hardships. So it's really, really critical that you understand what is actually happening, and a lot of people that we've heard about have already received their relief payment or stimulus check through the form of a direct deposit into their bank account. There still are checks that are being sent out right now as well, and people can also still go to irs.gov /coronavirus to fill out information if they're still looking to get that direct deposit. But it's really important to know that the scammers are still out there and they're looking for ways to, in quotes, help you deal with this and get more money. So it's very important to avoid or ignore contact from anyone claiming to be able to help you receive your payment. Don't share your bank account information or social security number with anyone, no matter how they're contacting you, and get all of your information directly from the IRS. And I'll tell you at the very end of this presentation, there's a long list of different resources that are very valuable in terms of where you should go for reputable information. And one of them is the IRS website that has all of the information about any type of stimulus or relief payment. You can see there that payments will begin in the next 3 weeks. And they've already been sent out to lots of people, and most of them will be distributed automatically with no action required at all. Social Security beneficiaries who are not typically required to file tax returns will not need to file to receive a payment. So really critical to understand that most people require little to no action to receive this payment into their bank account. Another major type of scam that we're seeing are health product scams. This can be a variety of different things, but essentially deceptive advertising or promotion of or sale of unproven products claimed to be effective in preventing or treating a condition or illness. And so we're seeing people claim that they might have products that are going to keep you safe or healthy with regards to this COVID-19 virus. And so it's really important to understand that, according to the CDC, there is no cure for this, for COVID-19 or coronavirus at the moment. And it's critical that people are not being sucked in by any type of advertisements that say that they can solve your problem. So, be sure to watch out for ads, bogus websites, email, and social media that push supplements and even cures. Scammers might be even out there impersonating the CDC or the World Health Organization to sell those types of products. And so, even if you receive a phone call saying that someone who is with the CDC or is trying to remind you of CDC guidelines and then try to follow you up with a pitch for a supplement that is going to keep your health, going to keep you healthy, that is not something that is actually true. And so, ways to protect yourself. Currently, no known medications or supplements that can prevent or treat coronavirus. Follow the guidance of your doctor, the CDC, and other known health officials that are either state or local. Avoid scare tactics or short-term offers that are often special offers to close deals. Don't open attachments or click on links in unsolicited emails or text about medical products or this global health crisis. Do not give your Medicare number out to anyone outside your trusted healthcare providers. And if you're tempted to buy an unproven product, be sure to check with your healthcare provider. They'll probably reassure you that again, uh, these products that are trying to be sold to take advantage of this time are not legitimate. Another type of major scam that we're seeing involves testing. Since there has been a shortage of testing around the state and the country, we're seeing different types of people who are trying to get a hold of testing supplies, and then also scammers or businesses who are taking advantage of the situation by offering out these test kits that only hospitals and other health organizations can get. So watch out for scam emails or other contact reporting to come from recognized organizations urging you to complete a mandatory test by a certain date. We've heard of some of this even happening door to door. Scammers are also using emails and robocalls to try to convince consumers that they can purchase a test kit that works at home. So far, there are no test kits that are going out home by home, but we've heard some advancements in this. So again, follow reputable news sources and reputable health organizations with regard to getting that information. Don't just look for ads, whether it be on a website that you're used to or not, that are saying you can get a test at home kit. Either requests would likely ask for personal information, financial information, or require an unconventional payment method. So again, watch out for these. They are out there, and we're still seeing these types of scams. But there might be, again, variations in testing coming out in the future. But again, get that information specifically from the CDC or your healthcare providers. Again, so far the FDA has not approved any self-administered tests for coronavirus, avoided and ignore any such offer. None of these organizations are sending you unsolicited emails or texts about coronavirus testing or test kits. So avoid anything that says they're with the CDC or the FDA or any other type of organization, because scammers are using those names to try to get your attention. Again, follow the guidance of your doctor, the CDC, and other known health officials in your area who are doing this type of work and being a reputable source of information for you. With any disaster or tragedy, we do see, unfortunately, charity scams pop up as another source of scam that scammers unfortunately take advantage of. And so they're really trying to tug at your heartstrings. They might be saying they're getting donations or different types of things for healthcare workers or first responders or anything like that. So again, during difficult times like this, be very wary about different types of folks who are trying to take advantage of your emotions. When these are scams, they often require you to act quickly or use a high pressure or they use high pressure tactics that make you act without doing any research. So any types of attempts that says, oh, you can only give for this very limited amount of time to help so and so, take with a grain of salt, because understand you can probably give, and any legitimate charity would probably take any type of donation you have at any time, and it's not just going to be a limited time offer. Scammers also sometimes use the name of well-known charities that are very similar or to try and trick donors. So if you're familiar with the organization, say the American Cancer Society, and then you see a variation of a charity name that's the American Society for Cancer Advancement. I'm not, that could be a real charity, but that type of thing. Just be very careful and do your research about those charities, because they have been known to use very similar names. And we've definitely already seen charity scams start to pop up and be reported to our office as part of this coronavirus pandemic. And so be very careful, do your research, make sure your hard-earned money goes to the places where you want it to go and is going towards programs for people who you want to help. So again, seek out those organizations that you know are doing good in your community and in your state and nationally to donate to. Do your research before giving. In Colorado, checkthecharity.com is a place that is a website that you can go to. It's run by the Colorado Secretary of State's office in partnership with the Colorado Attorney General and the Colorado Nonprofit Association. You can see that up on the screen. It is a place where you can tell if that charity has been registered to solicit donations in Colorado. A couple other great sites that you can check are charitynavigator.org or give.org in terms of seeing if a charity is legitimate. It's also a good idea to visit that charity's website and just check and see what types of programs they're doing, where the money is going, and how a donation that you give could help out. So again, another thing you can do is ask how much of any donation goes to the charity and how much is retained by any professional fundraiser, and whether your donation is tax deductible. Those are good litmus tests to see if it's a good charity to donate to. And avoid making donations with cash or prepaid gift cards or wire transfers. Credit card is a good method, particularly if you are donating online. Avoid unsolicited contact from phone calls, because you can't necessarily verify that that money is going, again, exactly where you want it to go. Price gouging. This is something that we've also heard of in terms of reports to the AARP ElderWatch helpline and the Colorado Attorney General's office. Well, it's not necessarily a straight up scam. It is something to be aware of and something to be watching out for, and it's something that the Colorado Attorney General's office is watching out for during this time. So, price gouging happens when a seller substantially increases the price of a good or service above the price the product or service was sold for prior to the declaration of the emergency. Essential or basic medical, food or personal, other supplies. We're seeing that, or have gotten reports that could possibly be with regard to price gouging. It's not explicitly illegal, but taking advantage of state of emergency by unreasonably increasing prices of essential goods and services can be constituted as an unfair business act under the Colorado Consumer Protection Act. We've gotten reports of meat, toilet paper, ketchup, all different types of things in Colorado that have been reported as a price gouging. So in terms of what the Attorney General's office is doing right now to help alleviate price gouging or make sure it's not happening, they have been in contact with Facebook and Amazon to coordinate efforts addressing price gouging on paper products, hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies, soap, and other goods. So just, there is work that's being done on this, and they're also reaching out to a number of online platforms that people might be ordering from during this time regarding price gouging to investigate and prosecute these practices. So ways to protect yourself. Again, there shouldn't be too massive a scarcity of items that you're looking for, but if there is, products that you're looking for that have run out at your local store, don't panic. Consult reputable sources for the most update information about COVID-19, including the Colorado Department of Public Health, the CDC, and WHO. There might be a perceived panic because you don't have a certain product like hand sanitizer. You might have a limited amount of hand sanitizer, but again, there might be other recommendations that the CDC is giving in terms of hand washing and how to stay safe without using hand sanitizer that it might be a good idea to be following. So that's why it's a good idea to follow the guidance of those organizations. Don't let price gougers profit off your concern. Again, This will pass. It might take some time, but you know, if you can go without something that you perceive as being gouged, it's okay. And remember that, not all price increases constitute price gouging. There may be legitimate reasons why a seller imposes a small price increase. Again, like if factories are shutting down because there are issues. The price of goods might go up just because there's less of those goods in the market. So it's important to remember those basic economic principles about supply and demand that do go into this, as well as what might be perceived as price gouging. Another really unfortunate scam that we've heard a little bit about during this time has to do with help or services scams. So these are happening when maybe you're approached at a store or online with an offer to help with shopping, professional cleaners, or similar service providers. Particularly older adults might be being targeted by this because they're being told they should not be going out in public and exposing themselves, or folks with compromised immune systems also might be being exposed to this type of a scam. Unfortunately, we have not heard of too many of these scams being reported, but there have been some, and there's been some news stories across Colorado too that have highlighted some of these types of scams that are happening. So fortunately, though, we've not heard of too many of them, but it still is good to be aware of and how to stay safe. So, again, any offers of companies to sanitize homes or businesses. We've also gotten reports of air duct repair and cleaning that might prevent the coronavirus. Again, not something that's actually going to happen. These people might ask to access your home and for payment up front. So, a good example of this is, Good Samaritan saying they're wanting to help out an older person who has mobility issues or is concerned about their safety shopping. Well, this might be a good intentioned citizen. It also might be a scammer looking to get in your home or take advantage of that person. So be very, very careful about who you're trusting to do that work for you. Ways to protect yourself. Only accept assistance from family members, neighbors, or friends who you know, or organizations you've checked out as both legitimate and who take appropriate safety precautions and health precautions. Always check out businesses with the Better Business Bureau, or obtain quotes from multiple reputable businesses if you're looking for help during this time. Get a work order in writing, and only pay when that work is completed to your satisfaction. Again, a lot of this work is being done in person. So if you are, dealing with neighbors or friends or businesses that are helping people during this time, make sure and take the proper health and safety precautions when you're interacting with them, and limit contact, of course, particularly during this time. Here's some other scams that might be targeting you at home, because people are at home right now during, the orders to stay at home and the suggestions to stay safer at home. It's really critical that people are recognizing that other scams that scammers might be targeting you for normally might still be out there, but you just might be more susceptible to them. So again, imposter scams, someone often posing as a government agency like Social Security. That's the most common one we've heard about probably over the last year. So if you're getting a call from someone saying they're with Social Security and something's wrong with your Social Security number, and you're not going to get your check this month because of that, um, you know, hang up on them. Social Security is not going to call you. Same thing, IRS is not going to call you. These large government entities, trust me, there's enough other stuff going on in the world. These large government entities are not going to have the time to just make outbound calls to all the beneficiaries right now. Same thing with businesses. Amazon people are impersonating themselves as Amazon or other large businesses that are helping people a lot during this time. So if you get a phone call or uninitiated contact from Amazon that's trying to obtain your personal or financial information or your login for your Amazon account, don't give it to them. People who are, either bored or lonely right now might be also susceptible to romance scams. And again, you don't have to be on a dating site to be targeted by a romance scam. Many of these scams originate on social media sites and apps like Facebook or Instagram, even words with friends. So if someone is contacting you and they ever request money or goods or personal information, that's the time to dump them. You can report them to that social media platform and also block them from being your friend because you know they're not a real friend and you know they're not just trying to keep you company on these social media platforms if they're asking you for money, goods, or personal information. Also, watch out for favor scams and grandparent scams. These are scams that prey on the kindness of others and are seeking money during emergency situations. So, one of the common scams that we're also seeing during this time is the grandparent scam resurfacing, but the grandparent scam has a twist on it where the supposed grandson or granddaughter says that they are sick and they need money from the grandparents. And of course, because this virus has taken over the news, grandparents are at home watching the news and responding and wanting to help their grandchild however they can. So they send them money via gift card or wire transfer. Stay in contact with your family during this time. Know where they're at. It's unlikely that your grandson or granddaughter would be traveling right now. That's usually the reported how a grandparent scam works. But again, uh, but call them if you think that they're actually not doing well, and chances are they're home safe, just like the grandparent is. Another scam that we're definitely seeing are puppy scams. And puppy scams are scams where essentially, puppies are people are lonely during this time, or people are looking for companionship, and they might be looking for a dog. Dogs are great companionship. So they hop online, look for dogs, and someone tells them they can ship them a dog. All they have to do is wire them some money or send them prepaid gift cards, and the dog will show up. You know, uh, Oftentimes the dog does not show up. Visit a local animal shelter if they're open to find a dog if you're looking for one during this time, or only deal locally with regards to that. One other scam that we have been seeing a lot during this over the last couple weeks that's not on this slide is a phishing or email phishing, or what we call it's kind of a extortion, or what we call a sextortion scam, where essentially what happens is that someone receives an email, and the email says that and the email gets their attention because it has a password that person has used before. And so they're thinking, oh, well, someone has my password, or someone has a password that I've used before. So they see that password and then they start reading the email. And essentially the email says that um, they someone has video of you watching pornographic content on the internet, and if you do not um, give them about $2,000 in Bitcoin, then they're going to share that video of you, and the pornographic content with all of your contacts. So this scam, has been the most reported scam over the last week to the ElderWatch helpline, and it kind of just shows up and then goes away and then shows up again. And so I think because people are home, it has shown up again. And it's very important to understand there's no legitimacy to the claims that are going on with this scam. So please don't send the Bitcoin. One of the best things you can do if you do receive this email is change your passwords, particularly if that password that shows up in your subject line or in the body of that email is one that you still use. For any type of account, change the password right away. Just knowing that it's likely it was part of a data breach somewhere along the line, and scammers are using that to try and get your attention and to try to get you to give them money. So be very careful about that scam. It is out there right now and in full force. So be very, very careful, but also don't don't take the bait and don't fall victim, because that's what they want you to do, and we don't want to give them any of your hard-earned money. Couple of ways to protect yourself after, when you're home so much. Avoid answering calls from numbers you don't recognize. Uh, if you do pick up, don't engage. So if you realize right away it's someone who you don't know, and they don't appear to be offering you anything that you need, hang up that phone. Don't be afraid to be rude. Only connect with people who you know on social media sites and apps. This is not the time to be meeting a new best friend, particularly if they start asking you for any types of money or goods. Never send money or goods to someone you don't know, and develop a refusal script for situations that might be difficult for you to say no. So again, if someone is approaching on the internet or over the phone or at your door, and it's really hard for you to say no, sit down and think about a good way that you're comfortable saying no. Oftentimes for myself, it's hard to say no to someone at the door. But again, I don't necessarily trust any type of door-to-door solicitation. So what I'm going to do is say, I don't do business at my door, but if you want to leave me information, I'd be happy to, give a donation or look at your product if I'm interested in it online, and or contact you if I'm interested down the road. But I'm not going to do business at my door. I'm not handing over funds or my credit card number at my door. Other scams that could pop up during this time could involve the census. And I know the census sent out their first invitation to take the census in mid-March, and I am sure many of the people listening to this call have definitely already filled out their census. So good for you for doing that. Understand though that census scams are still out there, particularly for people who might not have access to the internet. So warn friends and neighbors who might not be online that their emails, texts, or phone calls that are out there claiming to be from the U.S. Census Bureau asking for personal information such as your Social Security number. A scammer who shows up at your door and reports to be a census worker and asks for your Social Security number, a donation, or threatens you with arrest is not someone who's actually with the Census Bureau. All of the census taking that happens at your door for folks who've not filled it out online or in person, or out online or through the paper form, will not be happening. It's been pushed back either towards the end of May or the beginning of June. So don't expect to see anyone at your house from the U.S. Census Bureau until the summer, because it is, the census has pushed it back just because of the coronavirus. So the best thing you can do if you're able to is fill out your census form online when you receive it, those invitations and reminders. I'm sure, again, most people have done that on this call, but for people who haven't, beware these scams are still out there. If you're not comfortable filling out the census form online, the paper form will come to your house and you can mail it back. So please do that. Be aware that the census will not email you. The majority of contact will come through the mail. We have heard about scams where people have fallen victim to an email purporting to be with the Census Bureau, and that is not accurate. And those scams we've heard of mostly have requested Social Security numbers. Again, that census in-person enumeration is not going to happen until this summer. So, if anyone's coming to your house in April or May, it is not the person from the census. Feel free to check, and I have the census website on one of the next slides, but be sure to check the census for the latest information about when that in-person enumeration will be actually happening. And again, census workers will not ask for your Social Security number, donations, or threaten arrest. Other scams to watch out for in the months ahead. This is a big one, and I think it's going to be ever changing. So it's really critical that if any of these, apply to you, that you be very, very careful. Particularly if you're looking for a job. Lots of people have been out of work as a result of this coronavirus pandemic. Avoid any opportunities that sound in any way out of the normal. Particularly, be skeptical of work from home opportunities, car wrap schemes. and jobs that sound in any way too good to be true. If it doesn't sound like a normal job that you would be participating in, or that be very, very wary of it, because there are going to be opportunities out there. We've already heard of lots of opportunities out there. You shouldn't have to pay to work, and you shouldn't have to give a bunch of information. It's really important to do your research about the employer before you accept any type of employment opportunity with them. Also, beware of loan scams or debt consolidation offers. With the economic downturn and people out of work, more people will be looking for financial assistance. And scammers, scammers will be hunting for those people as well. So seek financial assistance from reputable sources, government entities, banks that you work with, and then avoid any type of unsolicited offer, particularly text and phone calls that are saying that they can consolidate any type of debt that you have, or offer you any type of no interest loan that sounds too good to be true, that often has some type of fee associated with it. Watch out for different variations of health-related and stimulus relief scams. Remember, these scammers are tricky, and they're smart, and they're nimble, and they're watching for different things that they can target to be a variation of the scams they have that might, get someone that might not get them otherwise. So just be very, very careful about any types of offers that don't fall in line with what our public health officials are saying and our elected officials are saying in terms of what we should be doing there during this time, and who we should be trusting. So here's just some general reminders for avoiding all scams, and hopefully, these won't be targeting you, but I expect them to be. Protect your personal and financial information, manage your phone calls, do your research, avoid contact with any unknown entities. It's okay to be skeptical or rude. Don't rush to act. Think and talk to others. It's harder during this time to make contact with those who you normally have contact with, like your neighbors and family and friends, those type of people. But don't feel afraid to get on the phone and call those folks and check out the situation just like you would any other situation that you might normally do in person. You can also call our helpline, and our phone number will be on one of the next slides. Consider unusual payment options a red flag. So if you don't know what you're paying with, for example, a Green Dot card, or for some reason you're paying with a Home Depot gift card for some type of a product, consider that a red flag and not a normal method of payment. If it sounds too good to be true, people on this call know that it probably is. Actively seek information about trending frauds and scams like you are right now. Share your story so we can help share it with others. And so the others might not be victimized by it at the same time, and report it. Reporting is critical because if new scams are out there and people aren't telling us that they're out there, then we can't put out information about those types of scams to make sure people are aware of them. So be very, very careful about that. In terms of reporting, here's some resources for you. Colorado Attorney General's Office, you can report fraud at www.stopfraudcolorado.gov. Additionally, the Colorado Attorney General's Consumer Complaint Line, you can call that number, 1-800-222-4444. There's a host of options there to either be connected with your BBB or AARP ElderWatch, or option 2. So if you have questions for us, you can hit option 2. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, there's how to file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission. You just go to ftccomplaintassistant.gov. They also have a fantastic website called identitytheft.gov if you have a concern or issue with regards to identity theft. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center is ic3.gov. So any internet crimes that are being perpetrated, you can report to that ic3.gov. And they have a huge database of all the different types of frauds and scams that are being reported to the FBI, so they can follow up with those. Again, local authorities, particularly if something is happening in person. So if you're being approached by a scam in person, like for instance, that helper scam, that's when you need to contact your local police or sheriff. Local business bureau, well, your local Better Business Bureau is also a great resource to check out if they've heard of a business or if there's been complaints about a business before engaging with that business or giving that business any money. And here's just some additional resources for you. Colorado Attorney General's Office, stopfraudcolorado.gov or coag.gov. AARP has a bunch of resources about fraud. You can go to aarp.org /fraud. The IRS, I mentioned before, anytime you're trying to get more information about that stimulus payment or how to get that or what the IRS is doing, irs.gov is the place to go /coronavirus. That is their website, and get all of your information about stimulus there. They don't, right? Right now they're asking people not to be calling them because they've been inundated with calls. So all of the most up-to-date information is on their website. Center for CDC or Center for Disease Control, their website, cdc.gov, is great for information about health. Federal Trade Commission, again, those two resources, ftc.gov and identitytheft.gov. Colorado Department of Public Health has their own COVID-19 page, has lots of great information on there. So I highly recommend going to that website for up-to-date information about what's happening in Colorado. And the U.S. Census Bureau, with regards to any of those census questions you have, particularly about when that door-to-door enumeration might be taking place, because it has been pushed back a couple of times, that 2020census.gov is the best resource to go to. I want to thank everyone for listening to today's webinar presentation. I'm sorry that this is not being done live, but if you do have questions about frauds or scams, you can always contact the AARP ElderWatch helpline. And one more time, that phone number is 1-800-222-4444, option 2. On behalf of the AARP ElderWatch and the Colorado Attorney General's Office, again, we appreciate you taking your time to learn about these coronavirus frauds and scams. Please continue to report to us about these different types of scams so we can alert the rest of Coloradans about the scams as well, so we're not seeing people being victimized by scams in Colorado. Stay safe and healthy and happy, and have a great rest of your day. Whew.